once, Ilya? The answer is no. Let's talk about all the mascaras that done wrong me this year, okay? Because there are a lot. What is up, guys? Welcome back. Did I go in a little hard on my makeup today? Yes, I did. I was having a lot of fun. You know, you have so many things that you love using that you're just gonna put them all on your face at one time. Like, that's what happened to me today. I hope it looks okay on camera, looks a little crazy in person. Today, guys, we are going to be rounding up my annual regrets. Some might call them fails. I feel like fail implies that they would be bad for everyone. It was more just that for one reason or another, I had a very bad experience or bad set of experiences with these products, and I have a whole ass bag of them. So, yeah. There's a lot of stuff in here that, if you've been watching all year, will come as no surprise to you, but I think it's still fun to kind of relive this stuff. And looking at my numbers, I know that there are plenty of you who are new enough to my channel that some of this stuff will be news to you, and I just want this to be really helpful. A lot of these items are very expensive, and I definitely want to save you guys the money and the trouble. That is definitely one of the reasons that I have a reviews channel to begin with, is not just to tell you guys to buy things, but also to tell you guys not to buy things. And so that's what this video is. This is a whole year's worth of don't buy it. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's go ahead and jump in. When I put this video out last year, I got a comment that was like, wow, does she like anything? And I was like, it's a regrets video. Like, I'm gonna dislike everything in this video. Like, that's the whole point of it. So I'm gonna try and keep it upbeat. I'm gonna try and recommend products that I think you would like instead if it's something that you've been considering. And if, for whatever reason, you guys love one of these products, understand this is just coming from me. Like, don't be disappointed because I'm panning it. All of these come with the caveat of this is super personal. The first thing that I wanna kind of touch on, like, category-wise, this isn't gonna be in, like, any specific order, really, but the hardest category I feel like for clean beauty is complexion products, because that's where you get into the liquid stabilizers, and people don't want silicones, but some people don't want coconut, and it makes it really, really hard. Plus, everything that is liquid of any kind, and most powders actually, require that they have a preservative in them, and there are so many different opinions from so many different people on what is a clean preservative and what is not. And the way that that translates a lot of times is that for the preservatives that are considered cleaner, they're not as strong, and so you have to put a lot more of them in these formulas, and it influences the way that the formula behaves and the shelf life and how quickly it starts to kind of like get icky. And if you are talking about something that's a little bit more lab made, they are going to have less of that as an ingredient and tends to influence the behavior of the formulation less. So that said, one of the bigger disappointments this year, and this will not be the last thing that I talk about from Vapor, is the Atmosphere Soft Focus Foundation. Was this year? I reviewed this back in May of this year, and I put it up against the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation half and half, just because they look so similar. I really thought that they would be a good comparison, but you guys educated me in the comments in that video and said, that's not really a fair comparison because Ilia has dimethicone in it. And I was like, ew. You know, I've learned a lot this year. I was clueless about that, and the fact that Vapor doesn't really have any of those like silicone labby stabilizers in them, but still, this performed in a way that I would like never recommend it. The way that it went on, it was just goopy. I'm not really sure what ingredient did that, but it didn't hold powder very well. It didn't hold its own shape very well. And for me, dimethicone's not a problem, so I would always go for the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation. However, if you're going to skip dimethicone, there are a lot better foundations for that perform really well. I think Ari Perez needs to expand their shade range, because that is like the chief complaint of that stuff, because that formula is so beautiful, the oat milk foundation. But that is definitely what I would recommend, even if you have to like mix two shades together, it's worth it. And there are also like the high-end ones. There's your Chiara, there's your Westman Atelier and things like that. They also don't have any dimethicone in them. So as those things go, I know Vapor is trying to be clean, 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 but this foundation just did not do it for me, and it is really pricey. Like, skip her. I'm gonna stick with the Vapor thing for a second, because I did do a review of the Vapor 2.0 release that came out this year, and this was the, I don't know, the big one, I feel like, that came out with it, the Velvet Glow Foundation. And this is basically Kosas. You know, it's the same idea, the loose oil that you have to shake up to get the pigments to adhere to the carrier oils. And it wears beautifully. It really, really does. It has absolutely gorgeous coverage, and I feel like it's actually more cooperative than the Kosas in terms of agreeing with other products that you might use with it. However, it is full of citrus oils, and even if they're not derived in a way that makes them phototoxic to wear on your face, which they might be, but like ask any skincare specialist, they're going to tell you that citrus oils are just highly irritating and they're very sensitizing for most people's skin. I really don't understand why they needed to put them in so many of the Vapor 2.0 releases. If anything, they're acting as a fragrance oil, which is another thing that I don't know, I'm just leery of putting that on my face. So I felt like this was just so close because they really didn't need to put those things in there. And I know that there are differing opinions on the benefits of putting like essential oils or citrus oils or anything like that in things that stay on your face. I am not really one of those people who like touts the benefits of it kind of across the board. This is the other end of the spectrum. So we talk about these foundations that don't have very many stabilizers in them and kind of the way that the brands go about compensating for that and whether or not it works. But as far as fails are concerned, there's also fails on the other end of the spectrum, and that is when a company has just gone way too far in terms of trying to make something smooth and behave like this like perfect shellacking of makeup and has too many stabilizers in it. Guys, I ventured out a while back at Ulta. I just explored, I read a bunch of ingredients. This has a lot of safe synthetics in it. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation. It's a fairly new product. I think it came out this year, I don't know. But when I read the ingredients, I also bought the Smith & Cult, what's it called? Veiled Threat foundation in that same visit. Ended up loving that. This is a goopy mess on my face, and it is not for lack of trying in the stabilizers department. It is literally all stabilizers, and it is just really gross and heavy and icky. I was basically trying to shock myself out of the like new adjusted set of expectations that I had for clean beauty, because it's just like being gluten intolerant. You forget what bread tastes like, you forget what like the texture of pasta is supposed to be, and so it's like you wish you could go like remind yourself to be like, is this good? Is this good, or am I just like so used to working with things that are like, you know, have so few ingredients in them that I just think it's good by comparison? So I just went for something that was like way at the end of the spectrum, and it disappointed me on so many levels because I just feel like this formula is gross. Now, like if I were to go back to like a non-cruelty free, drugstore price, non-clean, you know, kind of foundation, like I still think that the True Match Lumi from L'Oreal is like one of the best foundations out there as far as behavior is concerned. So like my perspective is not completely altered in favor of clean beauty because I still want things that are going to perform. And so I am going to constantly sort of still be dipping a finger into different especially foundations and complexion products out there, just because I want to keep my perspective and I want to still allow in things that, you know, just because a brand doesn't self-identify as clean, not all brands want to self-identify as clean. It is preclusive from an audience standpoint. Like, yes, there are brands that are doing amazing things and they deserve all the recognition, but there are also brands that do a really, really good job and come very, very close and take ingredients very seriously, but they don't want to be in that category of clean beauty because it does exclude a lot of people. And so I feel like that's my due diligence to like figure out what those products are. So that said, let's talk about all the mascaras that done wrong me this year, okay? Because there are a lot. Okay, we'll go in order of least to most expensive here. So if you are unaware, my standard for mascara is so high because I am an absolute devotee to the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. I am a snob about not having to rub my eyes. The Liquid Lash Extensions mascara, when you get in the shower and you put any kind of like steam or warm water on your face or whatever, you can just kind of gently, and it'll come off on its own, but if you really want to like, you know, egg it along, you can kind of pinch your lashes and gently just work off these little sleeves of product and then just wash them down the drain. You never get any kind of raccoon eyes or anything like that. You don't have to rub your eyes. You don't have to use an eye makeup remover. And at least for me, I don't have particularly like sweaty eyes. That's a weird thing to say, but I know plenty of people who have like oily eyes. It definitely lasts all day on me as if it were. a waterproof mascara. So I get the best of both worlds with it. So that said, a lot of these disappointed me because they just broke down so quickly. This is another issue with clean mascaras. It's just that they try so hard to omit ingredients. They end up just being some kind of like carrier situation and then a mineral pigment. Well, it breaks down really quickly as soon as it like touches anything around your eyes, especially these brands that are mainly cream based. Creams touch mascara that doesn't have any kind of stabilizer in it and it just goes everywhere. And I'm just really not willing to deal with that. And I'm definitely not going to recommend it to anyone. So this is the first one. This is the Honest Beauty mascara. It comes with this little lash primer situation, and then it also has the mascara on the other end. It actually opens like this. This wand situation is super frustrating and short and everything, and the wear time on this was like not great, especially for the amount of trouble. This is just a lot of trouble with the primer and everything. Like I've just never been that person who's just like, oh, I need 5 steps to my mascara routine. I need fewer steps. Next in terms of pricing is the new Well People mascara, the Expressionist Volumizing. They threw a whole party releasing this and everything, and it's a beautiful mascara. It really is, and I love that it comes in brown, but it just doesn't last. It still drools all over my eyes. I don't want to look like I'm wearing clean beauty, okay? Like, I want stuff that performs. I still want things that behave like luxury. I just don't want crappy ingredients, and like, that's the journey. That's the mission that we're on, and we can't just solve it overnight. And I was just so disappointed with this because this makes me look like I'm wearing clean beauty. It's giving me the raccoon eyes, it's deceiving me while I'm not looking, and at the end of the day, I look crazy and messy, and like that's not what I'm going for. Next is Ilia. In fact, I think that these two we can kind of speak about in tandem. This is the Ilia one and the Vapor one. We have the Ilia After Midnight Limitless Lash Mascara and the Mesmerize Mascara from Vapor. Same deal here, guys. That's why I'm rounding them up all at once. They just don't stay at all, and they're pretty expensive. But none is as expensive and disappointing as this one right here. This is the Westman Atelier I Love You mascara in clean black. It comes in this very pretentious tube. We love Westman Atelier in all of its pretense. And I'm a huge fan of most things from Westman Atelier. I love their foundation stick. I love their cream contour. I love their cream blush. Their highlighters, eh. And then the little super loaded highlighter, there's a learning curve there. Like I still haven't been able to like come back to it as far as my routine just because I don't really know where it goes. But this did not even get a third trial from me. I think I wore it once before I filmed. I wore it a second time when I filmed. And the thing that confounded me the most about this is that Westman Atelier's entire line is cream. We just talked about how these kinds of mascaras tend to break down when they hit any kind of oily surface. This was instantaneous. I mean, it barely lasted through the review video. It was so upsetting. You can go ahead and like chalk it up to my own stupidity, but this mascara was $61. What? Like, I don't know. Sometimes I find myself on Space NK looking at like Chantecaille. I've never had anything from them, but they're apparently amazing. I am not opposed to spending a lot of coins on a luxury makeup experience, but this was the video where we coined the term eye champagne. If something is going to be this expensive, I'm just expecting a luxury experience. I'm expecting eye champagne, and this was not eye champagne, you guys. Don't find this. Staying on the Ilia train for a moment, this was probably one of my like most griped about fails of the year, just because I tried so many ways to get this to work, and even I think today, some website, some advertiser on the clean beauty hashtag on Instagram had done a really, really close up of this. And I was like, oh, what is that? And then it said, I like, hovered over the shopping link and it said Ilia Liquid Light Serum Highlighter. And I was like, you fooled me once, Ilia. The answer is no. I have wised up to your tricks. This is attempting to be like a Cover FX, like, what do they call them? The custom shimmer drops, whatever the heck they're called. But, this is one of the most difficult liquid highlight situations I have ever worked with because it's too watery for its own good. And so when you try and kind of thin it out and like tap it on, the concentration, oh, she's already turning. Oh, that smells nasty. Yeah, when you spread it all out on your skin, sure, that's pretty, but what is the application of that on my face? I'm not going to cover my whole face in it like a primer, especially because it doesn't really have its own really nice dry down. It stays kind of oily. And when you try and like tap this, I'm not gonna do it. When you try and like tap this on your face and use it on top of a powder face of makeup, which you can do with the Cover FX, it disturbs everything underneath it. And when you try and use it under it, everything just kind of like sticks to it and gums up. And if you try and use it on top of a cream face of makeup, it's too thin. It like won't cooperate with like a nice, I don't know, like a nice cream face. You know, the way that the Kosas is, it has this really nice kind of viscosity to it. This doesn't have any thickness to it. I feel like the people at Ilia approved putting this out because they were like, well, you know, what's so hard about making something liquidy and shimmery? Everybody loves a good liquidy shimmery product. Who cares what they end up doing with it? Except that it doesn't work in any instance that you could possibly use something like that for. Like, I feel like they didn't actually test it in the real world, and it's a very frustrating product, and it was very expensive, so regard. Okay, so this is gonna spark some controversy. I mean, I watched Valeria's channel, Conscious Bee. She's obsessed with these. She makes them look lovely. I found them to be a creasy, frustrating mess, and that is the Kosas 10-second eyeshadow. I think it's a gimmicky idea to begin with because they're like, you can do your eyeshadow in 10 seconds. Like, no, you can't. One of the big issues of this is that if you turn it over, when it's open, it will spill everywhere. Like when you have something in this kind of container that kind of like makes a kissing noise like that when you pull it out, you assume that that's because there is like a semi-permeable kind of closure in there that if you were to dump this over, it would protect you from spilling it all over yourself. But like Tati did it, I did it, someone else in another video did it. Like it is booby trapped. Super frustrating. Like there should just be a warning or something. I don't know. I lost a lot of product. But the other issue to me is just that they crease like crazy. Like yes, yet again, we have an absolutely beautiful liquid shimmer situation. And I feel like that's something that just sells. People are like, wow, look at that texture on the skin. That's so beautiful. I can't wait to put that on my face. Except that like in an hour, even on my dry eyelids, it creases like crazy. And I just couldn't really find like a use for these. But yeah, more power to you if you loved these, if you got them to work and everything. This felt like one of those things where I had to check myself because my expectations were getting lower and lower only interacting with clean beauty, and I had to remind myself that like this is not actually an acceptable behavior of a product. Another unacceptable cream eyeshadow situation is actually this Ilia Silken Shadow Stick. For a while, because I love the Ilia True Skin Foundation, and I actually really like their like Fade Into You powder. I really thought that Ilia was gonna be one of those brands where just like everything blew my mind. And then Faulane offered to just like send me a bunch of stuff to try so that I could do like a full face of Ilia. And I was shocked by how I had made all the right choices in the beginning, picking out products from Ilia. And then, oh, and also, oh, the cheek stick. Oh boy, it is so good. So good, I love it so much. But I've also, hardly met a cream blush that I don't love, but the rest of the products that I tried from them were pretty disappointing. You can see that this is the at least third thing from Ilia that's in this regrets video. So this is, oh, that's right, it unscrews inexplicably. I don't know, I guess that's just user error. This is a cream shadow stick. There you go. Wow. This is another shimmery situation where I feel like no one tried to wear it. They were just like, shimmery, creamy, looks really nice in a swatch, because it does. Creases instantly. Doesn't spread out for anything, especially on your friggin' eyes, okay? If you're over the age of 30, your eyes are starting to show some sense of maturity. That's like literally the first place on your face that it shows. And putting something shimmery that's gonna like dive into every crease with like reckless abandon, like I would never tell you to spend that money on this. This is like $28 or something. And I mean, yes, it was sent to me, but I would never tell you to spend your money on something like that when it just performed so disappointingly. Go for the Brilliant Eye Brighteners from Thrive. Yes, they contain dimethicone, but they won't crease on you, and they're absolutely unbelievable, okay? They're great. This is here to remind me, because this actually isn't the problem. Yes, I'm not a big fan of this Ere Perez bronzer because it's way too orange, but this is not actually the fail. The fail I already gave away. I take things to my office to like give them to people who might want to try them. Like they're all really eager to try all of my stuff that I've already used and reviewed. And so I just bring these boxes to my office and they just descend on them and it's awesome. I love it because it makes me feel less bad about like barely using something. So anyway, I already gave it away, but the eyeshadow palette from Ere Perez, I will stick her on the screen, was so memorably bad. Like, so memorably bad. And Ere Perez is actually a really beautiful company. Like, their stuff is really considered, I feel like, but their powder formula just, I don't get it. It's really dusty. It's really low pigment. The color choices were really odd to me and it didn't really blend very well. It was very unexciting and it was very expensive for what it was. So yeah, that was just there to remind me of it because we had a lot of wins in terms of eyeshadows this year that I cannot wait to share with you guys. But I just had to, it's just one of those ones. It's been on my list since I reviewed it earlier this year and it's just, don't buy it.
The beetroot lip and cheek wasn't that good either.
I think that now is a good time to dive in on RMS because we just talked about the fail eyeshadow situation. So this is the other fail eyeshadow situation. This right here is the Hidden Desire palette from RMS Beauty, and I will say, this time last year was probably the first time, it was like around Thanksgiving, was the first time that I like dove headlong into RMS. And I was so impressed. I really loved the color choices on their creams. I felt like all of the kind of like preciousness of their little pans, I don't know, it just made me feel like I was using something really special. And I will be also rounding up some RMS favorites in powder form in my favorites video, but this just didn't sync with any of that. This palette, I mean, I won't belabor it because I did just review it, but the main issues that I have here are thusly. We have all warms and then all cools. They do not communicate with one another. This blush is for a completely different skin toned individual than this highlighter. They're supposed to be universal. This blush doesn't work for me at all, and this highlighter doesn't work for me at all. The highlighter is super, super white, like super silvery white. In all the reviews, people are like, I don't understand the choice that was made with this highlighter. It's glittery, it's not flattering, and this shade of pink does not work on me at all. So, I mean, that's just personal preference, but the main issue that I have here is that I felt trapped in this palette. You go with one shade and you can't go anywhere intuitively after that. Like there's just no smart pathway to navigate these colors. They seem random. And for all of the love that I have given their powder products in the past, I just was really, really pleased with them. Like I just thought that they were lovely. These powders feel different. They just feel cheaper, they feel dustier, they feel just chalky and really difficult to blend. So I saved you guys a lot of trouble and a lot of money on this. If you didn't watch that video, that's the summary. It just didn't work out for me. And this lovely little lady. So this is the RMS Uncover Up Cream Foundation. Wow, were we hyped for this. Oh my gosh. The clean beauty community was so hot with anticipation for this. I mean, we were salivating. We were like, what's it gonna be like? I want that tub of goodness. I will be totally honest, I don't really love the Uncover Up to begin with. I think that like you can't use enough of it to get really good coverage and without it just creasing everywhere. I feel like RMS goes so far in the direction of having no stabilizers at all that you end up with things that are just like, they have no wear time. And that was exactly what I experienced with this. Like it goes on really pretty, but you feel the heaviness on your face. It is so extremely oily. I mean, it's, you know, very much like an oil, I mean, geez, it's a little warm in here, but I mean, you know, picking up that much pigment as soon as I just dip my finger in there, it's a very intensely oil-based foundation. It really just feels like a pigmented oil, like a very viscous pigmented oil. And as a result, A, it wears heavily over the day. B, it doesn't really support a lot of other things on the face. Like if you were to put powder on top of it or something like that, it just isn't really gonna cooperate. It doesn't have a whole lot of dry down on its own. It has a little bit, but not much. And that's basically a result of it being solid at room temperature. But some people got some that were like whipped and weird. I had a couple of different viewers who messaged me and they were like, mine doesn't look like yours. Mine looks weird. And I was like, I don't know. But I would say that the biggest issue that I had with this was like midway through my day, even in just like normal air conditioning, spending my day indoors, not doing anything particularly like risky, pushing it to its limits or anything, I was able to just take my fingers like this and touch my face, and I just came away with all of my makeup on my hands. It was just icky. Like, it was all trying to crawl off my face all day long. Like, I wanted to get it off of my face so quickly. And you know, the kinds of comments that I get from people who are very, very passionate about clean beauty and will only use clean beauty, that watch my videos and they see me dislike something, or not really love the performance of it, or just like have any kind of complaint, so much of the time they will try and help by presenting hacks. You know, like, actually this worked better for me when I used this underneath it and applied it with this kind of tool or whatever, used a little bit more than you did or a little less than you did, and you know, used like a spray or didn't use powder or whatever like that. That's awesome. That's fine. I think that there is like a degree to which like every product has a little bit of a learning curve, but like, I'm only gonna recommend products that I feel like are user-friendly. I think it's actually kind of a gift that I don't come from this like professional makeup background where I can make anything work. I still have like the standards of a regular makeup user, and I don't think I'll ever lose that, even though like I hope that my skills have gotten better over the years. I still feel like when a product doesn't make my life easy, I notice that and I can translate that to a review. Even the Tati palette, when people watched my review, they were like, thank you. Thank you for not just saying everything blends like a dream. It's a pretty difficult palette to learn at first. Like, the matte formulas are a little bit difficult to blend because it's a very professional formula. Like, the pigment payoff makes you have to work a little bit harder to blend it. But like, so many of the very like professional, experienced, seasoned makeup artists came onto their channels and they were like, this is a dream, it's perfect, it's beautiful. And it's like, okay, well, you know, consider the source. They're very, very good at making things work. I mean, you watch Wayne Goss, you watch Nikki Tutorials, you watch Jaclyn Hill, like, these people have worked for so many years. Jackie Aina worked so many years at making makeup work on every single like skin type and skin, like, that's so valuable and really, really cool if they're able to give you tips on how to do that yourself. But for me, if I am interacting with a product that's making my life more difficult, I'm not gonna tell you to spend your money on it. There may be hacks to get this to work. There may be hacks to get any of these things to work, but I don't think that me recommending something, especially this expensive, this was $52, I wanna say, for an ounce of product, and having to like package it with a bunch of caveats to make it work for you, that's just not what I would want someone to do for me, you know? So I'm not gonna do that for you either. I'm going to tell you what to use that's going to be easy and fun. Oh, let's move into an easy one. You guys might remember this. This is one of my, maybe my favorite fail. This is the Vita Liberata Crystal Minerals Self-Tanning Bronzing Minerals. Why I thought that it would be a good idea, let's be honest, I didn't think it would be a good idea. I knew I was kind of setting myself up to fail. I really hoped that it would be good. I hoped that it would be like surprisingly good, but let's just say I was not surprised. It looks worse on camera than it does in person, but it looks pretty bad in person too. No. No, 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 no. No, it's so bad. Oh, yes. What is your return policy, Violet Grey? This is a bronzer that when you apply it, it's supposed to gradually tan your face, which is already a terrible idea. Okay. What were they thinking? What was I thinking buying this? But also, it goes on so patchily to create an adverb. It is like this, I'm not gonna do it. It is this like staining cocoa powder. Like, you go in with a brush, the brush that they give you a little kabuki brush, and you go in and it just goes, like, just in this irreparable patchiness, just unbelievable, like, instant face ruining patchiness. And when you try and some of my favorite comments on that video were like, I'm going, stop, 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 and Kaki's like, baby, I'll just put on a little more. I think that those are like some of my favorite comments in general, is just when people are like giving me their live reaction. They're like, I just wanted you to stop and you didn't stop. that was how this was. I was like, maybe I can fix it. Like, we all have that mentality sometimes, like when we've said something stupid or like spoiled a surprise or something and we want to stick our foot in our mouths, but we think maybe something else we say is going to make it better if we just add more to it. And it's like, no, just stop. Like, this was a no, just stop moment. It was so bad. And honestly, I mean, I wouldn't have known this from ordering it online, but like completely the wrong shade for me too, in terms of a bronzer. Like, they didn't come in multiple shades, but like it is the color of a Hershey's dark chocolate bar, you know, like that is not going to work as a bronzer on me. That's just not a match. So yeah, this is just a fail across the board. I would definitely not recommend buying this. This is over $50, at $55, and Violet Grey wouldn't let me return it. So I'm a proud owner of this little piece of hooey now. Okay, quickly, this was a fail for me. I think that if you have oily skin, maybe. I don't know because I don't have oily skin. But this is the Cover FX High Performance Setting Spray. Y'all. She freezes your face. She freezes your face permanently. It's like spraying a layer of hairspray on your face. Like, there's a ball in there. And I found out later, because I actually, you know, shopped. Did I shop online? I can't remember, but I shopped in a way that I was like not really paying enough attention. Cover FX has a setting spray that is dewy, and that is probably what I should have gone with. This is definitely no shade on Cover FX. I bought the wrong dang thing. But if you are thinking that a high performance setting spray is just going to be something that locks your makeup in and feels fantastic all day, and wow, aren't I glad I bought that? Don't. It makes your makeup set with this like layer of just shellacking that when you do like that, you'll actually get artificial crow's feet because it literally freezes your entire layer of makeup like a prosthesis on your face, basically. That was how this felt, and I was like, as soon as I sprayed this on my face, I was like, regret, abort, like get it off of me. Like, it just felt like a spider web stuck to my face. So yeah, don't waste your money on this. I should have returned it, but I didn't. This is in here to remind me. So this is the Supergoop Setting Mist, which I also didn't love. It's very alcohol-based and also gives me that same kind of shellacky feeling. But that's not the point here. The point of this was to remind me, I already took it back, but the Supergoop SPF powder. Oh my gosh. Why don't they put it in a better delivery system? It's in this little package that has a brush that's retractable. I mean, it's just super packaging heavy, which is fine because they sell individual replacement cartridges of just the powder. So you ostensibly aren't supposed to have to buy the brush multiple times. You pump the back of it, you know, and it's supposed to like put the powder into the brush and you just kind of dust it on. It is a phenomenal idea in theory to have a powder that you can apply over the course of the day that's going to refresh your SPF, because that's one of the big issues, right? How do you reapply when you've got a face of makeup on? I still don't know. Still don't have a really good answer for you other than put on a lot of sunscreen. Don't go out in the sun for very long. If you're going to be out in the sun for a long time, don't put on a lot of makeup. I don't know. That's just how I do it. But that powder exploded inside my bag 3 times before I just returned her because I just couldn't take it. And she's not the only one that makes one of those. There are a few of them out there, but I have shied away from trying any from any other brands just because that one really did me dirty, you know? I just feel like, especially for the price of that product, if you lose so much of that powder every time you try and open it, because the brush is magnetized, which is a very weak connection. And so that's what happens is like you pull the top off and then you try and pull that sleeve back, the brush falls off of it because it's just magnetic, and then all the powder falls out everywhere. And you know, yes, you've lost a lot of product, but also you now have powder all over the inside of your Marc Jacobs backpack. So like, it wronged me, it offended me, and I returned it, and I wish that they would put it in some kind of delivery system. I don't mind carrying around a sifter of powder and doing that, or even a compact of powder, but that little thing is just a gimmick and it makes me crazy. So until they change that, I won't buy it again, I guess. I don't know. Okay, we can't get out of a regrets video without talking about Onami. Onami is the brand that ripped me in 2 directions entirely earlier this year. Well, first of all, I pronounced it Onomi the entire video, so that's a fail on my part. Pretty funny. One person in the comments was like, I think it's Onami, like, you know, like economy, and I was just like, what? I pride myself on pronouncing things properly. At least something similar, but no, Onomi. Okay, well, it's Onami, and some of their products are holy grails for me. I am so obsessed with their Radical Setting Mist. It is the only setting mist that I will use. And they're a lovely company. When my setting mist bottle originally, it kind of clogged in the tip, and they did this for Hallie too, I wrote to them and I was like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, you know, we think that like over time, the amount of emollients that are in this that make it so lovely and velvety on the skin are actually like clogging the tip of our sprayer bottles, and it doesn't happen until like 6 months later, like 6 months into using it. And they were like, yo, we're sorry, we're gonna send you a new one and a travel size. And so they did that. Like, it's just, they're so, so sweet. Like, such a great company. These products, however, did not work for me. So the Bright Concealing Elixir, one of Anami's things is everything has a skincare benefit to it, like a distinct skincare benefit to it. And actually, they have a primer that has AHAs in it, which I now realize is like not a great idea probably. I don't know, I would have to check the ingredients, but like AHAs, daytime, that doesn't sound that good to me. Either way, I was very unimpressed with this one because of the texture of it and the way that it goes on the skin and just how freaking strange it is. It's like they kind of did themselves dirty. Do you see that? Even just shaking it. It's mostly this kind of separated oil consistency, and that's, I think, due to the fact that they're just it kind of curdles a little bit. They're trying to split the difference in making something that has a lot of skincare in it, but also is a concealer. And I feel like they got the skincare part right, but this concealer itself is a very like frustrating product to work with. It tends to kind of like dry down just to the minerals. It doesn't have a whole lot of viscosity to it, and it like highlights the texture underneath my eyes in a way that I don't love. And I think that it was exacerbated, because I think you could make that one work, but I think that in conjunction with the powder, it was probably the undoing of all of it. So this is the real culprit here. So awesome package. I really enjoy this. It's got the little powder puff up here and the mirror, very cute. And then we have the powder herself. I didn't know as much as I know now about active ingredients when I reviewed this the first time. So I'm just reading the ingredients online. There are a lot in here. It's got like bentonite clay in it. It's got a lot of cornstarch in it, like a lot of different versions of cornstarch. And Hordeum vulgare powder is the first thing in there. Vulgare? I don't have my glasses on. It might be an A, it might be an E, we don't know. The main thing that happened here is very similar to the RMS Unpowder, which I'm not including in this because I didn't try it this year, I tried it last year. But it's similar in the sense that you put this on and it granulates your makeup. So it's hard for me to say across the board because I can't remember every single brand and like what they have in them. But I feel like I have made maybe a subconscious effort to move away from using powders that have cornstarch in them. Mainly, I just don't like the way that they behave, and I think that there are just a lot of ways around it. But just the powders that I tend to gravitate towards also tend to not have cornstarch in them, and I think that that's like the downfall of this one. The RMS Unpowder is like entirely silica, which is a very absorbent material, and I think that that's what makes it happen there. But this behaves so similarly. Plus, now that I know, like, really, if the actual hydrating AHA, I don't really know what, like it's lactic acid. Like, is that a safe thing to wear on your face? And in a powder, is it even like effective? Like, I don't, anyway. There are a lot of reasons not to buy that. Two more things, and honestly, it's pretty good that this is like it in terms of things that truly disappointed me this year. I did really end up with like a lot of home runs. I will go horse in my favorites video this year. So the first one was pretty recent. This is the 100% pure lip caramel. I was so unpleasantly surprised by this. Wow. Okay. 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 We're in it now. I like a pigmented lip gloss, I do, but this one's thin. It doesn't really have like an actual gloss feeling to it. It just has that Juice Beauty, hello, this is a liquid with pigment in it, do what you will. Like, and then it needs to have a little bit more like intentionality built into it. That's like, okay, here's how you're supposed to apply this, because it felt like it never found a thickness that it was comfortable with or a thinness that it was comfortable with. It never had any kind of like set down on my lips. It never like wanted to stay in one place. Like there was no surface tension. It was just like, you know? And it didn't cooperate with anything else on my face, and I felt like it kind of tried to ruin my entire face with makeup. I just think that there are better ways to do things like this, and I think that what happens a lot of times, you know, there are brands out there that do some things really, really well and other things not so well. I do like the 100% pure, the bamboo powder and stuff like that. I'm not saying that the whole brand is bad, but like I said, we do get in a rut of judging everything against like a clean beauty standard, which I feel like is a lower standard for performance than if you were just, you know, comparing it to everything. And I don't want to lower our standards. I don't want to. So the final thing here is this. I knew this was going to make the list as soon as I used it. This is the Florence by Mills Tint and Tame Brow Gel, and I got it in the shade Honey, and here is the issue. I get it. You guys explained it to me. The idea is that a brow gel being shimmery would make your brows look, I don't know, like fuller or shinier or healthier or something like that. But this has the consistency, there we go, of a liquid eyeshadow. And they want me to put it on my eyebrows. Like, Girlfriend is like shimmery copper, okay? I put that in my eyebrows and it didn't make any sense at all. And you know, yeah, I'm actually kind of like a medium honey blondie brown kind of color. Like this shouldn't have been something that like stood in really stark contrast, but it's a really thin formula too. And so I feel like it just got all over my skin and it just looked like I got cream eyeshadow in the wrong place. I really like her entire makeup release with the exception of this. Like, I think that the foundation is awesome. I use the heck out of that concealer. I really like the cream blush. I think that the lip gloss is beautiful. This is the only fail that I could call out from that entire release. So like, good on you, Millie. Maybe I just don't get it, but this one didn't work for me. But I hope that you enjoyed this, you know, me just kind of rounding up all of the things that didn't work for me this year. But I don't think that this is a negative video either because I'm able to save you guys the trouble and the money of buying things that you probably aren't gonna work. One of my favorite things, one of the most gratifying things that can happen to me in response to my content is when people either post or tell me personally, I bought, you know, these 3 things that you recommended, or I've been watching your channel for X amount of years and I've taken so many of your recommendations and nothing has ever failed me. Like the products that you recommend, I feel like come with this like stamp of honesty and approval. And I just want to be sincere with you guys about that. Like I am never clean or not clean going to recommend to you guys a product that I don't think performs beautifully. And I get so much gratification out of feeling that reflected back at me when you guys say like, you know, your word means a lot to me. My word means a lot to me too. So I really, really appreciate that. And I hope that this was helpful for you guys. If you enjoyed it, if you had fun, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, guys, I think you should because the rest of the year is going to be a lot of fun and I have a lot of cool stuff planned for 2020 as well. Then go ahead and hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Make sure you ring the little bell. Things are real noisy right now on YouTube. Just, you know, do yourself a favor. Thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you so much and I will see you in the next one. Bye.